Hey everyone, Colbert here. Welcome to another Raid Challenge video. This one will be a Martyr Legendary Guide. So if you did happen to get Martyr during the 2x and 10x going on in this weekend, or you're watching this in the future, then yeah, there was a weekend where we had a double chance on Secrets and a 10x chance to actually summon Martyr. Martyr is a fantastic champion, one of the three in the game that provides a counterattack buff to everybody in your team. She's fantastic since she is defensive. She is a legendary, so her stats are way higher than, if she was an epic. So like Skullcrusher is an epic, so he has much lower stats than a legendary. So the way I've built her for this guide is, of course, I'll build her with the normal, the common way to build her in any account. Not on this account. There's so many legendaries on this account, but the way I've built her was just to showcase her power in a brand new account, for example. So you would go for a lifesteal set and a speed set ideally, and then try to get as much defense as possible. So the way that you would do that is to go with the defense primary on the gloves, defense primary on the chest, and if you can and your substats allow it, you go for a defense primary on the boots. Usually this will not allow your gear will not allow for this, so you would go for speed instead on the boots. So the minimum speed I would recommend for Martyr would be at least 171 and higher. If you can go to 171, it's gonna guarantee you that you will have her speed tuned for the clan boss. What speed tuned means is she will go last for your whole team, depending on your other champions as well speeds. But having her at 171, she will go last and apply the counter attack buff to everyone, so that they have the full two turns buffs to be utilized for the clan boss. Let's go over and see her overall stats. She's got 37,000 health, 5.5k defense. That's because of the 3 items that she does have, which are full defensive. So defense on gloves, chest, and boots. As I said before, you can switch out the boots if you are missing out on substats with speed. So critical rate and critical damage are 43% and 100%. Those are not important at the beginning of an account. If you just got her, it's not important to go 100% crit rate. But the more you progress through and you want to do those Ultra Nightmare clan boss higher numbers, then you should try and get as much defense as possible, the right amount of speed, but also 100% crit and as much critical damage as possible. So her accuracy needs to be, in my opinion, at least 200 if you want to be doing dungeons with Martyr, and at least Nightmare clan boss. If you want to be doing Ultra Nightmare and depend on Martyr's debuffs, then you will need at least 220 to 240 accuracy, the minimum in my opinion, for her debuffs to land. So let's go over quickly and look at her skills. So the reviews on her are, of course, 5 on almost everything, so I'm not going to go over them. I do agree with everything there. So let's go and see her A1. This is a 6 books requirement, attacks one enemy. It's called Rush. Has a 45% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Fantastic. On her default skill, she decreases the defense on an enemy at a 75% chance, plus 5% if you go for that mastery as well. So you could have an 80% chance to apply decreased defense. That's just fantastic out of a champion that is also as tanky as Martyr is. So just noting that A1 is just fantastic, and it also hits hard. Let's go over and see her A2, what makes her so great. Not just her A1, A2, and A3, just the A2 is one of the 3 champions in the game. She's so unique because of that. Places a 60% increased defense buff, which is great for the dungeons and, of course, the clan boss, and a counterattack buff on all allies for 2 turns. That counterattack buff is so important, and it's at the 3 turns cooldown with just 1 book. Of course, it's going to be hard to actually selectively book this, because she can take 6 books on her A1 and then another 4 on her A3. Booking her, you will not regret booking her as long as your account is reasonable. I mean, this account, getting a Martyr wouldn't be ideal, because this account already has a Martyr, for example. So this A2 is very important, and you need it booked. Ideally, you should put all your books on Martyr and no one else, depending on your account. So Suppression, her A3, attacks all enemies, plays a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns, plays a Provoke debuff for 1 turn. Amazing skill, amazing, just amazing. 4 turns cooldown when she's fully maxed out. The decreased attack just really helps in some of the dungeons, like the Fire Knight, where she's also strong affinity, like the Ice Golem, where the actual boss hits very, very hard. The decrease attack will make your team just survive through the waves and also those AoEs and actually help you beat down that boss. And then she also plays a provoke debuff for 1 turn. In the case that you're having difficulties with your team surviving, the provoke will definitely help your team at least survive that 1 extra turn. Maybe you have a healer in there, maybe a reviver that can get you through to the next wave possibly and to the boss and actually beating the dungeon. And finally, she's got one of the best auras in the game in terms of defense. Increases ally defense in all battles by 33%. That is so good, guys. So imagine having 1000 defense on your champion. That's another 330 defense increased just because of that. That's how this aura works. You're definitely going to have her in the lead in most of the dungeons, but also the clan boss. So finally, guys, let's go over her masteries. As I said before, you can go support if you want to have that extra 5% chance for her A1, but ideally you would go for offense and defense. That's the most common. Let me show you. You would go for offense for War Master right here, guys. You would go this route. You could go for Grim Resolve as well. I don't want to reset the masteries on this account, even though the reset is free. You would go with this kind of skill set. War Master is the ideal for any champion that hits with a single attack on their A1, and then the defensive tree will guarantee that she will get probably 1 or 2 more counterattacks throughout the whole fight. When somebody loses some HP, when she counterattacks, that's additional damage, and of course getting you closer to that maximum chest. So guys, I won't showcase her in the campaign. There's no reason. You're not gonna use her as a farmer. I'm gonna showcase her in one of the weaker dungeons for her, the dragon, because dragon 20 is magic. Magic means everybody that spirit will be taking more damage. I've got 3 spirit members in this team. I could have used all the legendaries here and made a very quick run, but I didn't want to showcase that. Instead, I put in there 1 rare. That's possibly the best rare to have for any account. And then I put in 3 epics that can be that are not so easy to get in any account, but definitely are a way to progress through many of the dungeons. I wouldn't say all of the dungeons, but at least the Ice Golem, the Fire Knight possibly, and then of course the Dragon. I wouldn't say you go with this team for the Spider, but in Dragon 20, this is magic, and this team will try to just progress through. We're gonna see what Martyr does in this dungeon. I'm gonna explain why she's so important. So ideally, in your team, Martyr will always be the last one taking her turn. So you would go with your boost here with Apothecary, then your Occult Brawler would take his turn, apply some poisons. Then right before Martyr, you would go for your AoE defense down or attack down. Stagnate has both, but in our case, because we also have Martyr, we don't need to have both. But since we are weak, there's always that chance, that 35% chance to do a weak hit. What a weak hit will do, even if you've got 100% chance to apply your debuffs, if it's a weak hit, you won't apply anything. So it definitely helps having 2 champions that can apply a decreased attack, so we can possibly outlast the enemy's damage. So we'll go for that A2 here. We actually applied it on every single one, so Martyr here wouldn't need to go for her A3. She would go for that A2. A2 here is just fantastic because everybody will get the buff, and if the enemy waves would go, it means that our champions would benefit the most out of the counterattack and defense up buff. So I'll put this on auto and let it go. You see that we're a bit faster than the enemy waves, but look at that counterattack working right now. Everybody will go over to that Tariel because he attacked with an AoE. The counterattack buff basically just gives you 5 extra attacks on any enemy. And our Martyr is getting focused just because of the amount of health that she has, but it's fine. She's got a huge amount of defense and she'll definitely take some hits. And because we also have that Apothecary, she will get healed also. So that provoke went in. It's fantastic because we want that on those hard hitters in the Dragon Dungeon. And this is how the waves go. You basically depend on that provoke, especially when you go weaker members like squishy damage dealers, Royal Guard, and I would say a Cold Brawler, but usually a Cold Brawler is also built for the clan boss, and we'll be fine. Okay, let's go to the boss. You're gonna see that counterattack buff doing a ton of work, especially with a Cold Brawler who applies poisons on his A1 and also whenever he takes a turn. So poisons really help on this boss. The attack down, the defense down is up. Look at the counter right now. We got stunned. Unfortunately, the next AoE does not stun, if I remember correctly, but it's fine. Look at all those poisons. Okay, we cleanse there with a cold. He gains an extra turn. That's great. We've got 4 poisons. Those will do some work. 5 poisons. There's the counter, and the boss will take his turn, and the counter will start working. So very easy way to beat the boss when you've got a poisoner. Even a spirit poisoner will do his job. If he gets a weak hit, he won't apply anything, but still, it's just a very good way to beat the dragon. So next up, we're gonna be doing some arena, and then we're gonna be showcasing how to use Martyr in the clan boss, and that will be the video. I'd rather have an 100% team instead. So I could have used the legendaries to showcase a much faster team. So guys, let's showcase our Martyr in a PvP situation right here. I'm going to be using Arbiter, of course, the reward for finishing all those difficult missions. I'm going to be using Trenda, which is a very hard-hitting champion. And of course, either Zargala or maybe something else. I'll just put it there at Tyrell. I don't even know what gear he has. So this is about Silver 4 Arena. The power is very similar on both of these teams, but you're going to see how important that counter is, especially for teams that have an AoE. So the enemy Drexstar and also Sile has an AoE. If she gets a stun on every one of us, then we're unlucky, but we went first in here. That's always important. So we'll do our AoE here. Ideally, we would have our debuffers go first, but this is not really speed tuned for arena. We get attacked there. So let's apply our defense down. And then here we're gonna apply that counter. You're gonna see how important that counter is now when the enemy basically takes their turn. That block damage, of course, is clutch by the tower here in the arena. So this fight will go for a bit longer than it should, but it's definitely a nice showcase for arena. It's a very reasonable team to fight here in Silver 4. Of course, it's 4 legendaries, but you know, everybody's getting those sacred shards, opening them up, getting those legendaries. Arena has become way more difficult than it was before. So let's just put this on auto now. We kill one. There we go. That is the second one. Arbiter revives. That counter attack and of course defense up definitely helped our team survive a bit longer. Defense up also gave more damage to Tyrell, so that's great. And she's good for PvP, but I wouldn't recommend her over, say, something like a Valkyrie. Valkyrie is way better just because of those additional that additional kit that she has. But Martyr is also great because of the defense up and the counter in case you're fighting, you know, an AoE intensive team. So we beaten this team, and of course our Chanda played a very important role, but definitely Martyr can have a spot in your team depending on where you are in PvP and what teams you're fighting. So I'm not gonna do more fights in there. Let's go over to the clan boss. We'll just do a nightmare run here. I can just go in with all these legendaries, but instead, so guys, this is a team, this is a very good example of a team that can be used for the clan boss. Ideally, you would go in there with your Martyr and then have a champion that can apply a defense down. Martyr can do that, but also our Tyrell can do that. We would also like a weaken debuff. We don't have any champions here that can apply a weaken. I, of course, have Razin, but I'm showcasing this kind of team right now. So then next up, we need an attack down. For this team, we have 2 champions that apply attack down. One of them is Tyrell, who has attack down on his A1, and of course Martyr, who has attack down on her A3. So double chances to get an attack down in case Tyrell's doesn't land. Martyr will go in there with that A3, and vice versa. Of course, Tyrell will be getting way more A1s, his default skill, just because of that counter attack buff. Then we've got our poisoners, which is Frozen Banshee and a Cold Brawler. Very solid poisoners for any given team. Of course, Frozen Banshee is a rare, and she's much more accessible than any other poisoners, in my opinion. And then Steel Skull for that additional defense up and poison on his A1. Definitely way more poisoners that we need, but this kind of team will definitely do a solid number on the clan boss. Ideally, when you're going in the clan boss, Martyr will be at 171 speed, guys. 171 speed is the minimum that you should have her when going in the Nightmare clan boss. 191 for Ultra Nightmare, and then we go into more end game strategies when you go in there with a 171 Martyr for Ultra Nightmare, but then you have to manual it for a bit, and that's how it goes basically. And then also everybody else should be a little bit faster than Martyr, so 172 to 189. That's the range that you can have everyone. Next up, guys, the counterattack buff. It's very important to actually have the correct order for the counterattack buff. The way that I have Tyrell here in the second slot is very important because he applies an attack down on his default skill. So that default skill will be the one used during a counterattack. So you want to have Tyrell there in the first spot, so he does go first in that counterattack order. And then next up, it's going to be your poisoners. You can either have Frozen Banshee here, a cold Brawler, and then have Steel Skull in the end, because Steel Skull is not that important there. He's just for more of a support than anything else in this kind of team. So we'll go in the clan boss. I don't know the exact speeds of everyone in there. I'm going to assume that they're close to Martyrs, but I'm just going to do this on manual for a bit, just to explain how this would go. And of course, when you have a proper team build, then Martyr will play such an important role. So you would go with all of your skills. I'm gonna apply some poison there. Let's go in for that attack down. There it is. There's the attack down. There's the poisoner. And of course, our Martyr goes last. And that's how it should be. Everyone else should go. And then Martyr, having the lowest speed out of all of your team, should be the last one going in. And of course, the first turn is the turn where the boss does his AoE. You will go for your A2, increase defense, and counterattack buff. You're going to see everyone going to Martyr, then Tyrell. As I explained, the order is so important. Look at all those poisons. And you can just press auto here if your speeds are correct. If you don't have a speed booster in there, if you don't have masteries that change your turn meter, then this will be the turn order that everyone will take throughout the start up until the boss goes crazy and kills everyone. So you're going to see the big AoE there. Again, the counterattack buff. See already we're at turn 2 and at 1.5 million damage. So assuming we go to 25 turns, that's about 20 to 25 million damage. It really depends on how many poisons we land and what happens on the debuff side. But this is just a fantastic way to go in the clan boss. Here we actually got stunned. That's not ideal because it messes up the orders. Here we could have had a counterattack buff going, but this team is not set up really for the clan boss, since this account has a ton of legendaries. I want you to take away the idea of the counterattack buff, building up a team to actually use counter, and then when that stun comes, actually protecting your Martyr from actually taking the stun from the boss. So guys, this was the video. I'm not gonna continue on with the fight because I just wanted to showcase what Martyr can do in the clan boss. So 3.81 million there. By the end, I would have expected at least a 2-key Nightmare run there, and possibly for Ultra Nightmare with the proper team, this can go from a 3 to 4 key. A very solid team can go a 2 key. 1 key, there's no 1 key teams, unfortunately, with Martyr in there, just because of how her kit is, but she definitely is in some 2 key clan boss teams. So guys, thanks a lot for watching this Martyr showcase guide video now that the 2x and 10x is going on. If you did like this video, please leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course I'll see you in the next one, guys. See ya.